currently going into retirement. That hasn't happened. Number two is that the expectations or the investment was going to be greater. That hasn't happened. I mean, because there is no money in those accounts. I hate to tell you, there is no money in the accounts. It is. It is true. There is no tons of money. There's actually IOUs if you want to go to the Treasury and to an audit. Well, it's not in the Treasury. So, and the second supposition is that we started looking at people when these suppositions were made or these equations were built for a gentleman living to his mid-60s, a woman into her early 70s. The averages now are almost a decade greater. I said it on the campaign trail, and I'll say it again. There is a way to honor our promises to our seniors, but not putting it on the back of our future. There are opportunities and options to make a difference. And that's why I'm here. How did you feel about government takeover of healthcare? Were you included in that? No. We weren't. And here's the time to stand up and make a difference. Who knows if you've got the idea to make a difference? But here's where we go. You can see exponentially, if you took 2010, here's about the point that we are. You can see that our revenues have dropped, and this projection is based on just minimal growth that we've shown, and it's actually taking it above a little bit higher. These are the exponential curves that you're going to see in growth. The second part you have to understand is right now, as we speak, you spend 42 cents out of every dollar just trying to pay the debt. That's debt service. Okay? Now you just missed a scare, and you're not done with it. Because the second holder of treasuries, second only to China, is Japan. What happened in Japan? They're hurting for money. What if they run on ask for their money? You can't pay it. And in most cases, your inflation is going to double. By any experts, the minimum will be doubling of inflation. Folks, you can't pay your debt. You cannot pay your debt. So here's the curves we're looking at. These are the projected revenues, because we're not putting people to work. The 84,000 jobs that we reported in the last quarter don't have benefits. So here we are. This is our pathway. This is where we're heading. These are our deficits. Here we are at 2010, and exponentially we grow. What did the House do? The House talked about several plans. And there are some premonitions on that. That we're going to see some steady growth, that it's going to increase, and that it's not going to stay real fluctuant. It's going to stay fairly minimally in dynamics. That's hard to say. So here we are 2010. If you put in the House budget, what you see is a modest increase in overtime tapering. What's magic about that is if you notice on these aspects, on both these charts, we're at that period of time in which we still can make a difference with minimal changes. But we have to make some changes. That's the key point. The further you go down, the harder it is to make the difference without having severe cuts. So who are all veterans here? Did you pick to be born when you were serving? No, you didn't. But you were called and you answered. And that's exactly where I find you today, and I find myself today. You have the opportunity, like another class of Americans, to step forward and answer the call and decide how you want to see your future. Which gets me back to the next thing. How much did you benefit from being born and raised in this country? I've been given a lot. Didn't have much to start off with. But you know what? I had an opportunity. I had a vision, and I had a lot of hard work. Wasn't fair. I failed sometimes. But in this country, I was able to pick myself up by my bootstraps and build myself back up again. That was the American dream. Freedoms. You folks are at the tipping point. You have the opportunity to decide what is our future. Are you here for a government that will decide all, or are you here to restore your freedoms? Government health care wasn't about health care. It's about freedoms. And the last time in serving 25 years in a dental chair, side by side by people this close, it makes people really nervous when I'm this close. Okay? Yeah, that noise bothers people. But that was a decision between you and your health care provider. You had a vested interest. You know what's best. You shouldn't have to pick what somebody else tells you in government. And in fact, in healthcare, there isn't a single program that's been government run that works. Not in healthcare. In fact, they're the ones that created the problem. That's the point that we're at. And that's the point we have to have that discussion. So here's our discussion point. We have some venues on the table, and the House plan or the Paul Ryan plan isn't the only thing out there. There's a guy by the name of Alan Simpson, a former senator from Wyoming, and Erskine Bowles, who used to be a prominent member of the Clinton administration. And they put out a plan. And what I would suggest you do is go back into the C-SPAN archives. You can pull it up. It's fabulous. I watched it twice, till 4 o'clock in the morning the second time. And when you're going to go watch this, you're going to see the whole panel on the Senate Budgetary Committee. They're grumpy. They don't want to listen. They don't want to talk to them. They're all, And watch what happens at the end of that meeting. Both those gentlemen have that whole committee eating out of their hands. Because they're telling the truth. The truth surfaces to the top. It's an option. It's an opportunity. But their leadership brought that. Their leadership put something on the table for your discussion, for you to pick apart, for you to decide. Now, I'm not a real fond fan of what I saw from the president. Because on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, he gave us his budget. Did it talk about this other part of the spending curve up here? Did it talk about anything in this area? No, it didn't. And so my comment, and I hope it's yours, is that I was heartbroken on Valentine's Day for a lack of leadership. And then we had what they call do-overs. That's something that I thought was in handwriting when I was doing my cursive stuff. And we still didn't get it right. And then yet we had to demagogue or deliberately antagonize the opposite side. Folks, I am that person that came to the forward front. I'm the first House member on the Republican side that said there has to be civility in our discussions today. Because it's about America. It is about America. But leadership comes to the forefront. Leadership leads. You put something of yourself out there. It's not comfortable. It's not easy. But you have to start there. But you're going to pick a fight with Paul Ryan? This is a president that's never had a job or signed the front end of a paycheck? Come on, we don't understand the business model. We don't understand the business model. We do not understand the business model.
I do.
Well, I think a lot of us do. But here's your opportunity. Here's your opportunity to make a difference. Are you still dreaming? That's what we forgot to. Because one thing America was great about was dreaming. Teddy Roosevelt said it. So close your eyes and dream, and you're halfway there. Because then, with the work, you can put those practical solutions in place. Why is it so important that we talk from Arizona? Arizona has a wonderful opportunity to make a difference. Because remember, we talked about we can't cut our way out of this. We've got to create jobs. What's so great about District 1? District 1 has natural resources. For every natural resource job you create, you get up to 19 service industry jobs. That's putting America back to work. It also goes further, that for every dollar created in natural resources, it circulates in local communities 4 to 5 times, and in the state 7 to 8 times before it leaves the state.